Welcome to the Church Brand Guide podcast. My name is Michael. In this episode, we are taking a look at your logo. Maybe you're a communications person at your church and you're creating all these different pieces to communicate what's happening at your church. Also, maybe the website and the social media, and you're just wanting, your hope, your desire is to connect with people in all these different things that you're communicating. I want to point out your logo. Your logo is extremely important. It needs to be right so that you're able to connect with the audience that you're trying to reach. Businesses invest tens of thousands of dollars to get their logo correct. If you think of Southwest Airlines or Nike or Target, all these big brands are making sure they have the perfect design that's going to help them reach their audience and be sticky. And you need to make sure that you're investing in a great logo so that everything you put out is branded, but it's branded well. It's sticky. People see it, they recognize it, and as a result of that, they respond to the message that you're putting with it. So your logo, if you're thinking about it, you're wondering if you have a great church logo, if you're thinking, we'll just get by with this, whatever we have, we've had it for a long time, it's worked. This is an episode that's going to help you evaluate what you have and then realize whether or not you need something new, something fresh for you to connect with your audience. Really, that's the goal behind it. You should like it, but your audience should connect with it. They should love it. And if your logo is not doing that for your church, I created this amazing tool that I use with my clients. And I want to share this tool with you on this episode. This is a great tool that'll help you communicate what you like so that your designer can design in that direction, but then also serve you to add value to the process. This is what I do with all of my clients. I serve as a guide to help you ultimately get the best logo design for your church because it's something that you like, but that your audience loves. That's really the key to a great brand design, is that your audience connects with it and they love it. Now, you need to like it because you got to live with it, but it needs to be something that is more geared towards your audience that you're trying to reach. So what I've done is I've created this tool, and it's got over 100 logos to inspire you so that you can look through and just see different types of church logo design. So there are 3 categories that I've created for the logos. I put a whole bunch of them in classic, what I call classic. This has more of a low-key vibe to it. It's a little bit more religious, a little bit more what you would expect from a church logo. So if your church is more traditional, it has more of a feel that people are accustomed to, and you want to keep that. That's part of your brand, it's part of your DNA. The classic logo designs are going to be in line with that. Modern is a bit more corporate. It's a little bit more clean in how it's designed. The structure, the fonts, everything we're using is more clean lines, has more of a corporate vibe. So if your church is thinking about attracting professionals, this might be a really good look for you. The final category is trendy. Trendy has an edge to it. So it's outside the box designs that don't typically happen for churches. They just look different. So if you're reaching an audience that is maybe a little bit more youthful, this might be the direction for you to go in. So go through these categories. You can jump across all the categories and just pick out your top 5 logos that you like. Let me know what you like about each of these logos. This is where, as a client of mine, you get to go through and just figure out, hey, what are the ones that I like? What are the simple explanations of why I like it? And then what I get to do as a designer is take your descriptions and translate that into great instructions for me to work with and create something that you will like. But at the same time, I want to make sure that we're creating something your audience will love. And the way we do that is through our strategy process. So before we get to design, we do strategy. And in that strategy, we figure out who your audience is that we are designing towards. And then out of that, we get to choose colors and fonts and designs that really connect with them. So the strategy gives me that piece of it. I'm going to make sure I bring that to the table. But I'm also going to take these samples that you're sending to me, and we're going to merge the two so that you like it and your audience loves it. Your logo is the tip of the iceberg. It's what people see the most. It's what is on everything from your website to a postcard mailer to the monument sign that's outside the building. So we have to make sure we get it right. This is an investment that's worth making. so that you're able to cut through the noise and reach people where they are. They can relate with you because they feel like you understand who they are. This tool ensures that you can communicate with your designer to get the right design for your church. A great logo lasts for about 7 to 10 years. Our hope is that when we design your logo, it can go even beyond that. But if it's been a while since you've actually had a logo redesign, or at least taken a look at your church logo, it's probably time to take a look. If it's been a while since you've refreshed your vision for your church, a new or fresh vision for your church is a great time to look at the logo. Maybe you're in a building program of some kind, you're going into a new phase of the church history. That's also a great time to take a look at your logo and make sure that you have something that represents you well. Your logo is a tremendous tool that closes the gap between who you are and those that you are pursuing. It needs to be right. You have to invest to make sure this is done really well. I hope this episode helps you to walk through the process, the design process, so that you are able to connect with your audience. Again, if you're a communications person at your church, everything you do matters. It makes an impression on people. Ultimately, to help them take their next steps with your church, the logo is a part of everything. It's on the website, it's on the communications, it's on social media. And if it's not, it should be. It's what creates that impression to help people understand that this is part of the same thing, the same brand, the same organization. So we need to make sure we get this right and use it all the time on everything. One of the rules is that if it's an internal piece of communication, I typically don't put the logo on there, or not nearly as much. But if it's going externally outside, then I make sure that we get it in there somewhere on the design of whatever graphic we're using. Social media is a little bit different. We don't want to be too over the top with promoting. We just want to be resourceful on social media, so it's not quite as critical on those channels. But your logo is the tip of the spear when it comes to your brand. Make sure you get it right. If you're listening to this podcast episode, I do want to encourage you to go to the show notes at churchbrandguide.com. That's where I have all the different logos, the examples that we've talked about today in the different categories we've talked about, so you can take a look at those. And I think it'll give you a good idea. A lot of times churches don't know if they have a good logo or not, a marketable logo. What I mean by a good logo is that, is it marketable? Is it something that can be out there in the world and people connect with and relate to? Ultimately, it's not about our preferences. It's not about what we think. And I see churches make this mistake a lot. They design something that appeals to them. I'll see a church logo that has a Bible, a dove, a cross, and it's all kind of in one design. It's just a lot going on. So that's great, because that's what we're all about as church leaders, and that's the gospel, and everything that it represents is what we're all about. But as a brand that's trying to do outreach to reach people that don't have the gospel, that don't necessarily know what we know and have what we have, we need to be careful to create things that can connect with them. So again, a logo is designed for them first. We should like it. They should love it. I'd love to help you with this. Take a look at that landing page that I created for this episode of the podcast. It'll help you see a bunch of different types of logos. It can be religious, it could be non-religious. It'll give you good examples on that page of what that could look like for your church. At the bottom of that page as well is a place to connect with me. If you'd like to schedule a phone call and just connect about your logo, I can take a look at what you have, give you some feedback, and also see if I might be able to work with you. So one of the things I do is design logos and brands, of course, for churches, hence the name Church Brand Guide. So if that's something that we want to do as well, is take a look at what it would take for me to work with you, then go through that page, click the form below, and schedule a time, and let's have a conversation. Thanks for joining me on this episode of the Church Brand Guide podcast. Hey, leave a review. If this is something that is good for you, please leave a review. Take a moment to do that. It helps us to get out there more. Subscribe as well. And also, if you have any comments or anything, I'd love to hear about that. So feel free to leave that review or send me an email. Let me know what you think about the podcast, or if there's anything I can do to serve you even better. Thanks again for listening to today's episode, and I will see you next time.